You're back on the air with Eric and Robin Gagnon, the restaurant brokers from We Sell Restaurants. We Sell Restaurants operates the largest restaurant brokerage company in the nation based on the number of listings, transaction count, and volume. We are franchising our concept nationwide and have offices in Florida, Colorado, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia. And today we are talking to some former professional athletes who are now restaurateurs. They are actually franchisees of their own. So we have James Butler and Ty Hill, who own multiple Golden Corrals, George Tinsley Sr., who's a legend in this industry and owns so many stores I've lost count, but I think 70 was the last number I heard, and Carlos Emmons, who has Wet Willie's in Atlanta, Georgia, and I think there's probably more stores in your future, Carlos. What do you think?
Definitely. I mean, I've been looking into the Las Vegas market. It's hard to get into that market. So I've been working on Vegas for at least 2 years now. So I'm looking for a location out there, and I've also been looking into the airport concession market. And
sounds like
we got the perfect person on the phone. I've actually met George at a franchise conference before. Great guy. He gave me some great insight when I met him then. So looking forward to talking to him in the future.
Well, George, since your name came up, let me ask you a question. You know, and that's also a lot of our listeners here want to be in the business or are in the business, always looking for, to get friends and family involved. You know, you have been around for a long time, and that should family and friends be involved in the business with you? Well,
we've got a good situation that I have family that's involved in our business, both immediate family and also extended family members who have come in at an entry level and proven at that entry level that they're capable, committed, and are able to handle the workload and the confidence and trust that's put in them to handle their particular portion of the job. We also have developed family through employees that have been with us a long period of time. We have several, as I mentioned, I've been in business for 30 years, and I have at least 3 employees that have been with us 29 years. So they are family also. So it's not something that I would advise that you go into and bring in family and friends into the business unless you're really sure that you're able to terminate them. And if you don't feel you're able to do that, if they are not living up to the standards that you set, then I advise not to go into it. It's very tricky business. When you get in business yourself, and I'm sure that each one of the guys on this call can relate to the very first day that you announce that family finds out that you're in business. All of a sudden you start getting those looks and questions and comments as to what are you going to do for them. So it takes some tough skin and keeping folks at a distance and understanding what you can and cannot do. But they definitely, if it can cross that threshold and they're committed, they can definitely be an asset to your infrastructure.
I love that answer. And Ty, I want to switch gears just a little bit because George has been giving us sort of this legacy look back over 30 years. I want to ask you from a more current perspective, when you were first transitioning from an NFL star to the restaurant industry, what was the greatest challenge for you?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say I think we all strive to be like George on this call. I mean, honestly, getting it. What was your question first?
What was the greatest challenge in transitioning from the football field to the restaurant industry, from the NFL to your business?
Well, I mean, it's just, again, it's the language. I mean, it's the barrier of, like, what I've been doing all my life, which was football, and basically getting into something totally different and something I've never done before. And learning the language was really, like, the hardest thing because when you're reading it, like, say, me and James went through training, we looking at the book like, I don't know what this means. So we actually have to go to actually physically do it and actually go see the tools. Oh, so this is what they mean. So I think that was the biggest thing is just, understanding the language. And because everything else we already possess, because I think everybody on this phone will agree, And everything that we all been saying was that we all been a part of a team. We know how to build a team, so we know how, and we know what successful teams look like, and we know that not one individual can do it, but through teamwork we can get accomplished. You know, so we all saying the same thing. So the big thing for us, for me, was definitely the language barrier.
Good answer. I want to ask you, all of you, to answer that question, somewhat in a brief time. I'll start with you, Carlos. But, I know our listeners very well. So I know they're listening, oh, that's easy. These guys were superstars. They were in the NFL. They were in basketball. Everybody knew them. So they just throw their name out there and people come to your restaurant. How much is your actually stardom or successes as an athlete really kind of paid off into sales and people supporting your business? Or is this just kind of more of a myth? Carlos?
I think it can help. Like when we first opened the restaurant, I opened to humongous numbers. That can be a gift and a curse.
Right.
So I knew enough people to, when I first opened, the restaurant was packed. But I think a lot of people go into that, as you see, like with a lot of former athletes or entertainers or whoever, when they put their name on a restaurant, as soon as the star fades, the restaurant fades.
That's
so
true.
A lot of times you look on the franchise side because they made the mistakes. They've seen the things that can go wrong with the restaurant, the things that can go right. So you invest in that. So a lot of people rely on that name and rely on that the roar of the crowd, but that's not going to keep the business running.
All right. Good answer. Guys, I got to put you on the clock 10 seconds apiece to answer that question.
Tell us the question again.
Does your stardom really help you putting people in the seats in your restaurants? Ty?
I think for us, we're going to try to bank on it because we're going to use our background for is football. Like where our restaurants are, they're a heavily football town. So we're going to try to rely on it. We're going to tap into that. Our restaurants are in South Georgia and in Alabama.
Okay. George?
Yeah. I think that stardom is not a key piece of this. I think the key piece is that you're a professional athlete, and when you're in your restaurant and when you're in there and you're actively involved, working, doing the things that an owner would do, interacting with your guests as well as working with your employees and the people that are coming in, they see that you're involved and they see that you're friendly and you have a clean restaurant. You have.
I think we're going to have to leave it at that. I believe everybody.
That's going to make it happen.
I think everybody's kind of saying the same thing. It may start with your stardom, but it certainly doesn't end there. It's a lot of hard work, commitment from each and every one of you. This is Eric and Robin Gagnon, the Restaurant Brokers. We'll be right back after this message.